I'm Margot Gray. Tonight, a lawsuit targeting NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center claims disabled employees and veterans were discriminated and retaliated against. A handful of employees say they've been denied reasonable accommodations to do their jobs. And when they've brought it up to their superiors, they claim they were retaliated against.
Because I served this country, I was taught to fight for what's right. And if I'm gonna go protect a country so everybody can get equal rights, how much more would I fight people to try to suppress mine?
As a NASA aerospace engineer and military veteran, Randy L. is determined and ready to fight. He says despite high performance reviews, he claims he's been passed over for promotions and has been a target for supervisors at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center after reporting workplace failures.
I lost 46 jobs. I applied for 46 jobs, couldn't get promoted. I was blackballed.
And year after year, L says he continued to blow the whistle on Marshall leadership for overlooking his disability and mental health condition and not making reasonable accommodations for him to do his job.
My disability is not only mental, but it's my hearing. I said, but because you can't see my disability doesn't mean it's not there.
L has already won a settlement against NASA for $30,000 after his lawsuit over a hostile work environment based on being surveilled and excessively monitored, threatened with negative performance evaluations, and required to assume responsibilities without training. Adding insult to injury, he alleges that his complaints amounted to him even being targeted for tax fraud after Marshall reported his name incorrectly to the IRS.
525,000, not just me, federal workers that NASA has misreported to the IRS.
His claims aren't the only ones. These two women who did not want to appear on camera say they too were denied reasonable accommodations based on medical conditions. Their response? Both filing EEOC complaints and one filing a lawsuit. One remains on the job while the other was terminated for poor performance and excessive leave.
Have non-medical personnel making decisions about reasonable accommodations despite the documentation that you may have.
There was nothing else I could do if I was getting reported for and being reprimanded for going to the doctor. I had to stop going so that my health took a hit.
All say they had stellar employee records until their medical conditions were used as weapons against them.
This is showing a pattern of the systemic retaliation that's going on at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center.
Their attorney, Kimberly Ford.
One case, we have someone that has been filing a reasonable accommodation request and has been denied. And then when she reported that denial and tried to get that reversed, they retaliated against her. There are things that NASA cannot do based on statute and code and their own rules. And what they're doing is violating all of those things, including their own policies and procedures. And so when my clients have documented proof, things in black and white that show that these things have happened, they're undeniable.
Ford says their case is only made stronger based on precedent. Former NASA employee Arthur Henderson sued in 2008 and won, also claiming disability rights failures at Marshall. Despite Henderson versus NASA, L says his continued complaints show the same failures in disability accommodations and retribution at Marshall.
And you don't fit in the culture if you don't play a game. And plus, I got a little gold tooth. I kind of look a little different. I kind of speak a little different. So you get put in the ball.
As of now, Mr. L has 4 pending lawsuits, and the parties are currently in a dispute over whether Alabama state courts or federal courts have jurisdiction to address his claims. One of the women interviewed has had her issues resolved internally and is now waiting for the shutdown to be over to finally close this chapter. And then the other woman still has an active EEOC claim pending. I contacted all legal representation for supervisors, Marshall Space Flight Center, the DOJ, and the IRS. The IRS responded that it could not comment on pending litigation. The remaining agencies have not been able to respond due to the government shutdown.